Hi everybody, today I have pretty old and big, a little bit unusual relay to repair. I actually got this device from the commercial client who is specializing in restoration and repair of commercial food processing equipment. I don't know what the device is. It doesn't say on the board. I just have this board only. Now, I haven't started the recording of the video from the beginning, and I wish I had. What was happening here was a very big relay. Actually, this is the top part of the relay, and part of that was pre-burned. You will see that actually there is some burn mark on the board itself, and the relay was pre-burned from the sparking, I guess, and then subsequent welding of the contact. I have dismantled this relay. I tried to find it online, but I couldn't find even similar relay, not to be received here in time anyway, or in any reasonable time. So I decided to restore or rebuild this relay. It has 4 posts. I'll show you. This is actually the cleaning part, or cleaning debris of that relay. Most of the body of the case of the relay is been damaged. Actually, not most, parts of it are damaged. You will see here part of that has been burned out altogether. Like I said, I've already cleaned that. And also here, that is virtually, even this plastic is, as you can see, is pretty burned. It hardly retained its strength. It doesn't worry me though, because I'm going to replace it with epoxy or reinforce it with epoxy. Inside it looks like this. I tried to clean it as much as I could, just to hold this shape. I'll try to turn on some more lights. All here was melted. It was big blob of plastic melted. I cleaned all that and tried to retain its basic shape. The rest is here, as you can see. I also recovered 4 contacts. Which I cleaned. One of them was pretty burned, but all of them are clean now. What I have to do is, I mean, the other parts of the device, I'll push it aside. The other parts of the device are here. This bit here, this corner here was the same as, this missing corner here was the same as this one here. And I had to cut it out because, oh, actually it crumbled, like you can see it here. It's very brittle. And there is also another internal part. This part actually holds the springs and the contacts. As you can see here, this part has been melted pretty badly as well. You can see the missing part of it here. I cleaned that already, and then I will either leave it as it is or reinforce it with the epoxy. And then we will install that inside. And also what we have here, there are 4 springs. One of the contacts, and this spring in particular hasn't been cleaned yet, was actually entirely covered or submerged in molten plastic. That contact was absolutely rock solid, not moving at all. The other springs look like that, so they are pretty okay. And the board itself, that was the burned part. As you can see, this via with attached track which goes under in the middle of the circuit board should be okay. I'll check it if it connects here. In fact, I'll do it right now. Okay, we'll go to continuity mode. So I'll see if that via connects with here. Yes, it does. So this track is intact. That's very good. On the other side it looks like that, so it is reasonably okay. That empty burned out hole is not needed, it's not connected to anything, because those posts, as you can see them, which come in through those holes, virtually use 2 holes for stability on each leg. So this is only for stability. This leg will provide the contact to this part here. Also, what is missing is one of those micro switches here. Unfortunately, during the repair I melted a bit of that micro switch. I couldn't access properly with my soldering iron the spot. Unfortunately, I touched that and I melted that a bit, so I'll try to replace this micro switch. Okay, so after a short cleaning of that space here, I'll try to start repairing that relay. Yeah, like I said, I wish I started recording from the first moment I took this board for the repair. Unfortunately, I was sort of so curious if I can fix this relay that I started doing it without realizing that I'm not recording it. Right. So what I'll do, I'll try to rebuild first this little bit. Probably I will start, I'm going to use a silicone pad, offcut of the silicone pad for mixing my 2-part epoxy. Now how that looks, that is pretty, what I'll do, I'll actually make sure this is absolutely flat. I will will use some Kapton tape to block. Okay, so what I do, I'll use Kapton tape. Sorry, my overhead camera, I decided that it's too low quality. I purchased the camera from online source, just normal video recording camera. I still can't afford good quality equipment, so that was a big mistake. While it is recording alright, and the quality of it is even worse than webcam, which I was using prior to that, I can't get any sharpness from the video camera whatsoever, so I decided not to use it at all. So what I'm doing right now is just providing some base, so when I will fill that part in with epoxy, it won't spill to underside. I'll also try to clean it off. I think it is flat enough, yes. So I'll just use another bit of Kapton tape. Block this bit. Okay, and just for good measure, I will do the third bit covering them both. Like so. Okay, that should hold most of the epoxy from spilling. Like so, and then I'll do in two batches, first the bottom and then the side, or vice versa, I don't know. Yeah, probably the bottom first, so it sits nice and straight. I'll use this thicker pad. Okay, so I'm going to prepare this two-part epoxy. I'm just using the cheapest two-part epoxy, 5 minutes set time from local hardware store. So what I'm doing, actually that is supposed to push both at the same time. This is just the end of the tube. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use some base and some hardener. I use a little bit more hardener than the base to make it set faster. I'm using just standard toothpick to mix it all up. The good part, the good aspect of using silicone pad underneath is that this epoxy doesn't stick to silicone very well. So it is very hard, not very hard to peel off later and have the clean silicone base again to mix it up. Right, that will set up in about 5 minutes. So I have a little bit of time, making sure it's mixed thoroughly. Right, so now putting it here. Using the same toothpick, I'll just put a little bit of that epoxy mixture here. We'll build up this hole, a little bit of overlap so it holds to the walls, like so. Like I said, that those plastic walls are very brittle. The plastic has been subjected to very high temperature and is virtually not holding there almost at all. So what I'm going to reinforce that with epoxy. I'm not going to fix the side hole because the epoxy is still too liquid and it will simply flow down. However, I may just start the base of it. Yeah, it's still flowing, that's okay. I actually maybe it will hold to this glue from Kapton tape and to the walls. Okay. It will flow to the bottom, but that's okay. Now, I'm not too worried about those holes which I will need to cut later. Epoxy is pretty easy to cut in. So I'll do it later. Okay, for so far so good. The epoxy doesn't spill, doesn't run through the tape. Okay, I'll let it dry for a few minutes. And in the meantime, we could observe what happens to the relay mechanism or coil itself. Now, while cleaning, I found that one of the wires this is one of the wires coming out of the coil. You see that the other one runs through and connects to this leg. So this wire needs to connect to this leg here. It's been burned. As you can see, the marks here. So I need to extend it. Fortunately, still some of it exposed from the coil, which is good. I don't want to rip it from the coil. That would require me to unwind this protective paper and then draw some more of that wire. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to very gently clean it with this soft brush and an alcohol. This part here. Before starting soldering to it, I just want to make sure that this coil is continuous anyway. So I'll just check for the continuity. Now that is covered with enamel coating, so I have to scratch a bit of it. Would have to do it anyway to solder to it. Very, very gently, as not to rip it. You see this bend here is weak point. I can see the windings already, so I don't want to rip any of them. Okay, that's much better. Right, we're getting somewhere. Yeah. Okay. Turns out to be not to be a that this is not a foil, just multi-layered waxy paper. Okay, I need to, I mean, it doesn't have to be here. Okay. All right. Looks like we got the end of it. Oh yeah. Goody. Right. We don't need that anymore. Can get rid of it. Now we have, I mean, that coil, by the look of it, is not burned. It's been probably, I'm not sure if it is done by me while I was trying to uncover it. I'll have a look at that closely. If it is damaged or not. Well, it is slightly. So we got those 4 points here on the coil. I'm going to separate them. Okay. And what I'm going to do is just making sure that they're not touching. I mean, this enamel should be all right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use liquid electric tape, a bit of it, and then put the drop of that here. To make sure that it covers it and then it prevents that from shortening. Now, while that dries out, which is pretty quick, I'm going to inspect the other parts of that coil. Is that dirt or is it another? No, that's just dirt or dust. Okay, we got this loose end here, which is good. I will unwind one winding to get more of that length of that wire. This is okay. This is just some sort of glue residue. All here looks all right. Doesn't look damaged. Well, after that sets here, it should be pretty well protected. Okay, let's hope that that will do the trick. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to unwind one winding of that wire. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll resolder this bit, resolder the other end, and then we'll see if that has continuity. Okay. That has pretty big thermal mass, I have to hold it for a moment. Okay, we'll do the same here. Temperature should burn through this enamel coating. Yeah, not enough flux. You can tell that there is not enough flux when those horns appear. See that horn? So the flux, whatever flux I put in here has been used up. You see what happened when I added flux to it? It's still being hot, and the flux actually made it contract immediately, removing that horn. Okay. That should be okay now. And I'll just clean it quickly, gently, just not to rip that wire. Still being hot, so the flux will remove very quickly. And now we'll see for continuity. No, it doesn't seem like I have continuity here. That's not good. This coating is still sort of fresh. I don't think that any of those wires is actually ripped here. But why don't we have continuity? Another thing is that continuity test may not show because the resistance is too great. I mean, most of the multimeters work in continuity mode only up to 2 ohms. If that resistance is greater than 2 ohms, it will show as discontinued. So what I can do, I can check it in diode mode. Why not? Okay, let's see if I can do it in a diode mode. Oh yeah, it is continuous. Good. I hope you can see now. Yep. It is continuous. Oof, good. All right, so we have the light at the end of the tunnel. Okay. So that relay can be fixed. I'm happy. Right, we'll wait for it to set properly. Then we'll try to cut out required holes in it. So what we can do, start doing now, is start cleaning those springs, straightening them and preparing them for work with those contacts. Now I'm missing one more spring. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can find spare ones. And I would rather use the original ones because they have the special, I mean not special, but appropriate strength. I had it before, not long ago. Anyway, we'll try to find it in a second. Oof, I'm glad this coil is continuous. Right, how that looks. That looks absolutely fantastic. Good. So what we can do, we can start inserting those springs in the appropriate spaces, which is like so. Now, the holes are smaller than the springs themselves. That's why I actually managed to bend some of them. I couldn't do it like I'm doing it now because there was those contacts in the holes which I couldn't remove earlier. I'll try to do it like that now. Okay, I need another pair of tweezers to rotate that little puppy. Come on. I know you don't want to do it, but I want you to do it. Like so, please. Okay, rotate, please, please. Please. That's better. Almost there, almost. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly how I wanted you. Okay. Second one, how does that look like? It's a little bit bent. It's a little bit dirty. Don't you dare escaping from me. I'm trying to remove bits of that molten plastic from the spring, so it is as clean as possible. Okay, try to bend it the other way. Almost there. Don't want to use any pliers, I don't want to damage the spring, I just want to use the gentle force. Okay, that's better. Almost like new. Okay, so what I want to do is, I want to insert it here, like so. Now, as you can see, the diameter of the spring is slightly greater than the opening, which is... that was easy. Yeah, I'll do it that way. I'll try to. Okay. Next one. Where is the next one? Don't tell me I lost another one. Okay, looks like I need to get to my springs container, spare springs. I'm sure I'll find them as soon as I convert other springs to work in that capacity. That's too hard. Too hard. Okay, if I won't find the correct ones, I'll try to convert that spring into those. That is similar hardness, similar diameter, just longer, so I can always cut it in size. I've got all those springs from different devices. Printers, old copiers, old cassette players, many other devices. I always ask people to donate unwanted devices so I can reuse them for many other things. And always collect various springs from them, because you never know what you can use. For instance, I had once the multi CD, 5 CD swapper player, and its original spring was broken when I opened that. I couldn't find the replacement, so what I did, I converted one of those. Bent as I needed, here and there. It was good. Perhaps not as pretty as the original, but it was working. Okay, so what I got here, that one is slightly smaller diameter, so I may use this one, which is the same diameter as the other one. So what I can do, I can cut it in here, leaving that little of the lip on the outside. Probably just one winding will do. Maybe that's not good enough. That will do. Okay, so that's the end of it. One end of it, and the other one goes in here. Okay, and what I'm trying to do now is just to bend it back so it can actually form another nice neat ending. Springs are pretty easy to bend. Yeah, that may work like this. Okay, so what I need to do is just to insert this one. Like so. Very good. I even used those springs for the battery terminals, like for the contacts for the battery holders, especially those built-in holders which corroded, let's say, through the leaking battery or because of the leaking battery. I used some of those springs to replace the original ones. Now that it looks like new, doesn't it? Bloody marvelous. Right, so in the meantime, while leaving that alone, I guess I could clean this little bit here while I'm at that. What I will do, after cleaning it and exposing this copper inside, while I'm at that, I'll protect it from further corrosion by actually tinning it, either with solder. I think it will be with solder. Very thin layer of solder should stick to it very well and protect it. And hard enough as soon as wear off. That is going to be too long. getting a little bit warm. More flux on the outside. Okay. So as you can see, it's been thinned pretty well. It will not rust anymore. You can tell actually the difference between the nickel and the solder, but it doesn't really matter. When I'm fixing something, I always like to clean around. I know I'm not being paid for it, but I don't work exactly for time. And I simply call it the service of the device. It's just, I'm that kind of person that I can't leave anything dirty when I see it in electronics. I'm sort of crazy about it. Not many people would do it, I guess. But that's just me. Everybody has to have their own little hobbies, for lack of a better word. Mine is actually cleaning it. But I'm known that whatever I give away, fixed device, it's been clean as anything, almost as new. Okay. Should have enough solder on that tip to cover that. Maybe not. Okay, that'll do. And yes, I do realize that I built up a little bit of that solder bulb on it, but I'll clean it. Wick. Solder wick to do it. Same on this side. Beautiful. Like new. Like new. Like new. Right, so right now, in the meantime, we can fix this, I guess. This VA is a little bit loose. So what I'll do, I'll just reinforce it with a little bit of solder here. Then after I solder on this side, it should hold itself very well. While I'm waiting for that epoxy to set properly. Doesn't want to do it, I have to clean it more. What I have to do, I have to clean this bit here, it doesn't want to connect. I mean, it's connected electrically, but the solder doesn't want to flow in here, it's too dirty. A little bit harder brush. You can see the structure of actually the VA itself. This is the bottom part here, this one is, and this is the top collar. This edge here is the top collar of the VA. And what we want to do is just get rid of this inside dirt. Yes, you could call it microsurgery of electronics. And that should be enough, I think. create that bridge. Okay. Flux. Oh yeah. This is exactly what I wanted. That is very well reinforced now. Okay, I'll remove that excess solder from the via. Okay, exactly what I wanted to achieve. Good, that's been being solid.